the beauty of doing this in person and online. All right, can you hear me? Awesome. All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the third annual Impact 100 meeting and vote. This is our third annual meeting, but this one feels a little bit different because we are here finally in person. This is what we envisioned. Yes. Of course, with over 50 amazing women in front of me, this brings a lot of emotions, clearly nerves. So forgive me my rustiness in front of an audience. It brings emotions of excitement that we are finally able to be here together, connect in person. I mean, the energy is just unbelievable. It brings emotions of relief that we didn't have to cancel once again. Gratitude for all of you who are here in this room, as well as all of those who joined us online, because we are streaming this event for those that could not be with us in person. I really appreciate each and every single one of you. And I am hearing that there's music playing right here, so I'm going to try to shut it off. Aha, that worked. Like, I can hear it coming from somewhere. I also have a lot of hope today. Hope that this is just the first of many meetings like this, where we all come together and connect. And finally, I just feel pure energy. Looking around this room filled with knowledge, passion, power, this is incredible. It reminds me of a quote by someone you may know, Oprah Winfrey. Surround yourself only with people who are going to take you higher. When I look at the people who are surrounding me today, I know exactly what she was talking about. So I've had the privilege over the past 3 years to get to know you and learn from so many of you. And I hope that tonight inspires you to make some of the same connections with the people in this room. You will not be disappointed. I want to challenge you to reach out to somebody that you've never seen before. It's a little scary, but also fun. I've already met people today, some of whom I've seen on Zoom, but some whose faces I've never seen, and it feels amazing. The people in this room are amazing, and you will not be disappointed when you meet them. So you may ask, who are we? Well, we are entrepreneurs, artists, lawyers, accountants, investors, inventors, teachers and students. We have doctors and nurses. They all seem to be sitting together. Let's see, social workers, nonprofit leaders, community organizers, activists, and volunteers. We are moms, grandmoms, stepmoms, moms-to-be. We are daughters, sisters, and friends. There are women in our community who are survivors, and we are all fighters. We are hikers, swimmers, bikers. I've met women in this group who actually run everywhere, and those who like skiing up the mountain more than they like skiing down it. And I'm tearing up because now I'm looking at you guys. We are gardeners, travelers, avid readers, acclaimed writers, and musicians. And that's just to name a few. There is 157 people in our community, and each one of them has a unique story and something different to add. Now, we would love to share all of those stories here tonight, but don't have the time. What I would like to do, however, is ask you to share. There are index notes on every single table. Please take a card, and on it, write something about yourself. Do not write your name. Let's make this anonymous. It could be something funny. It could be something that nobody in this room knows about. What I'd like to do is have a way that we can all explore our community deeper, that we can all connect better. For those of you who are joining us online, our amazing AV person, Phil, is going to put a link in the chat to a Jamboard where you can also anonymously post something about yourself. I'll give you a couple of minutes, but we'll tell you that we will find a way to share all of those tidbits. We will find a way to share them so that we can continue to explore the depth of our community. I'll give you a couple of minutes to think. No names. Feel free to fold your card in half, and maybe each table can sort of gather all of them and put them on the side of the table, and we will pick them up later. All right, I feel like most of you are done. If you're not done, please feel free to keep writing. I think that what you are putting on those cards is probably so much more important than what I get to say. So please. I know that when we gather these cards, and when you look at them, you will be inspired. And the reason why I know this is because it's the women in this room that have shaped Impact 100 Seattle into what it has become. It's the women in this room that dare to envision a different way of philanthropy. It's the women in this room that envisioned a world where nonprofits spend their time changing and transforming our communities, not fundraising. Woohoo! A world where small, local, community-based organizations have access to power and money. A world where lived experiences are valued and the communities are the experts. Together, we have pushed boundaries and have created a new way to move forward. We have lifted our organization, and most importantly, other organizations as well. So tonight, we are here to learn about 3 small community-based organizations that are truly transforming the Puget Sound region. Then, we will vote to allocate $157,000 of unrestricted funds to them. After that, we will embrace them and have them join our community as grantee partners. Because I know that when we join forces with them, we will lift each other up, and only the sky will be the limit. So now we have an amazing program for you tonight, but before we truly jump into it, I do want to take a couple of minutes to thank a few people that have actually made this possible. First of all, this beautiful building that we're in, the Metropolis, has been just a very gracious sponsor and has offered this space and has been just an amazing organization to work with. So please consider them if you're looking for a good event space. We're also very thankful to Novelty Hill Winery, who is providing all of the beautiful wine that we're having this evening. We have some great friends as well, Georgetown Breweries, and then Catherine Fox and Emily Unn, who have actually created the nonprofit videos that you will be seeing later today. They're just students graduating this year and starting out in their careers. So let's lift them up. We also have an amazing photographer, Carrie, who is in the back. And Phil, thank you, Phil, for making this accessible to not just us here, but also all the people who are listening to us online. Simon and Bob, thank you so much for wonderful music, and they will be back later on. Melissa will also talk a little bit more about them, and I encourage you to read a description of them in the program. And then finally, we all have to give a big round of applause to Sherry. Sherry, stand up, please. Sherry is amazing because she planned this event and got us all here together, and we're so incredibly thankful for her. Okay, and now for the people that did all the work to get us to today, the grant review team. If you are on the grant review team, please stand up. These amazing ladies have spent hours, and I mean hours, reading through 49 grant applicants. And then hours discussing those applicants to get us down to our 3 2022 grantee partners. So thank you all so much. And last but definitely not least, a special thanks to our leadership team. These are all the women that are doing all the things behind the scenes. This organization is 100% volunteer run, and without the people on this screen, we would not be here. So if those people can please stand up so we can give you a big round of applause. Thank you. All right, well, now I think it's time to learn a little bit about our grant process and our grantee partners. So to do that, I would like to welcome 2 women that have truly lifted me up, Melissa and Kelly.
Thank you, Anna. Oh, I wish I had flowers or something for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right.
So it's so amazing. I know how hard it is for many people to get here tonight, and I'm just so grateful to see all your smiling faces, to reconnect with old friends, to meet new friends for the first time in person, even though we've spent hours and hours together. It's just truly amazing to be here. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Melissa West. I have been with this great organization for the past 3 years working on the grant process. And I just want to say a special thanks to Jennifer Larson, where's Krista Davis, Krista, and Marianne Wong, who's watching on video tonight and couldn't be here with us. But these women were just fierce and fun and just awesome colleagues to do the grant leadership team with this year. And we are looking for grant leadership team members for next year. So if you're interested, please come say hello to me later. But I wanted to start by talking, before we get into a little conversation, just quickly. I have a 14-year-old daughter, and it's been giving me a lot of opportunity to talk about what we're calling crucial conversations. This is a great time for learning in her life, and there are lots of things happening with friends and boys and teachers and coaches. How many of you are raising or have raised a teenager and know what I'm talking about? Oh, what? Yeah, okay. So I can see it's not just me. But one thing that I realized is I never had anyone telling me how to have difficult conversations. Like, I feel like I'm now, and through the last maybe 4 or 5 years, starting to get better at this, but it's actually really tricky. And so to have the opportunity to counsel a 14-year-old how to have some of these conversations now has been a privilege, and it's also challenged me. But I was thinking about this because one of the reasons that I am here today is because, well, I'm looking at Erica. She really is the reason that I got brought together with Anne and Anna from the beginning. And Erica runs Peaceful Place Montessori, and many of our kids were there together, which is awesome. But one of the very first conversations we had was about Anne and Anna were thinking about starting this new nonprofit. And I was immersed in a very small nonprofit at the time after having come from a big foundation. And they were like, hey, we're really interested in doing this thing. It's called Impact 100. And, you know, we're going to get women together and give money. And I was like, that sounds awesome. And I think the only way I'd be interested is if you guys think about giving unrestricted funds. And so they were like, okay, what is, you know, let's talk about that. What does that look like? And that was one of my first kind of hard conversations that I had about this work that we're doing. And if you think that, like, what we're doing is normal, let me just tell you, it's not. I mean, there was a post by Voulay, who's an amazing local philanthropist, and in his newsletter last week, he said that one of his colleagues had to write a 74-page grant proposal for a $5,000 grant. I mean, I would like to think that that's not the norm, but that is happening all too frequently in the field of philanthropy. And unfortunately, funders still have this desire to fund programs, not the direct expenses that run an organization, the staff, the office space, the computers, you know, pretty much anything you need to run an organization. People are investing, they want to invest in programs because programs are, you know, I don't know, they run themselves or something. But what we are doing is unique and it's special, and it takes every single one of us to do that, and it takes conversation. And we've had a lot of conversations about what does bias look like? What is white privilege? You know, how does that show up in some of the decisions that we're making? And I would love to just have a moment to talk with this wonderful person here, Dr. Kelly Griffith Bauer, about what she learned through the process, because it was her first year on the grant review team, and we've had an opportunity to get to know each other on Zoom and then to talk a little bit more about what she's experienced, and I thought it would be great for all of you to hear as well. So thank you for being a part of this team over the last year and bringing your insight and smarts and just willingness to learn. And we're all learning. I mean, gosh, I've learned so much from everybody. But Kelly, I would love to hear, oh, and what I didn't say is, so her day job is as a dermatologist at the Polyclinic. And I'd just love to hear a little bit first, why did you decide to join the grant review team and be a part of this?
Do we duet on this?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's kind of like a duet. We could just lean in together. It would be really cute. I joined this group in part because my friend Sarah, who's also a colleague of mine and somebody who's very dear and beloved to me, said, I think you've got to join this group. There are these women who are coming together and donating time and money to basically lift up organizations within the community and provide grant money to local organizations. And she said this to me, and I thought, huh? I never heard of anything like that. And as Melissa and I have talked, and I think she explained really well what she's extraordinarily good at, which is that she came from a large philanthropic organization, and she's now dedicating her time to Impact 100. And I think that for me, I work in science, grants are something entirely different. And so I wanted to, I mean, not entirely, you're still writing a ton, you're still trying to get money, and everybody's trying to go for the same small pool. But I didn't understand what Sarah was talking about, and I didn't understand how I could just give some money and be a part of something and make a decision about where this money went. So I decided, okay, I think it's time, I think I've got the bandwidth to jump in and figure out, okay, so if I donate the money, then there's the money, but how do I get involved? And that's exactly what we did, and I jumped in, and here I am.
And thank you for jumping in and learning. And I would love to just hear you reflect a little bit on how your perspective has changed over the past year since you joined the grant review team.
I think that there are a lot of us in this room actually. I think how many of us were on the grant review team? Something like 60, I think. Oh, I mean, numbers are, so 20 something or 30. Well, that's a lot of people still. I mean, when we look at this entire room full of us, 30 people is a lot. And I just learned so much when we broke into the small groups for the first time, and I was sitting there. I felt different than I've ever felt professionally, because I'm, as a physician in a space, I'm used to knowing what's going on, having knowledge, feeling like I'm an expert in an area. And I sat in a space and felt like I had no idea what was going on. I knew that there were organizations, I knew that we had a pot of money. I didn't understand where to go from there. And there were other people who've worked in social work, who've worked in nonprofit, who are experts in this. And that started to really pivot my thinking, and I just became a learner all over again. And I think that was a really important space for me to be in. So that's something that changed for me, is to learn from these incredible human beings who do this work regularly, and to understand that grant money in science, I recognize, is very difficult to get, but also for organizations within the community, it's also very difficult to get. One of the first things I said to Melissa in our group was, oh, well, Mackenzie Scott's like giving money all over the place, like all over in Seattle. I mean, can't people just get that money? She was like, no, they can't get that money. That's not easy. And so I had a lot to learn. So, so I didn't know. So those are the things that I'm kind of pivoting and coming full circle and learning how money is distributed within our communities, and how these smaller organizations reach out and how they get access to the money that's available both within the community and nationally, and realizing how hard that is.
Thank you. And I think maybe this will lead into the one of the other things that we've been talking about. But anything that surprised you about the process, because I know that you had several surprises throughout the process, and I would love to hear maybe you just reflect on kind of the numbers of the organizations that you saw, but also kind of the depth of excitement that you felt in learning about these organizations, including Simon's, by the way. So One Vibe Media is an organization that actually applied for one of our grants, one of the 50 or so organizations, and Simon was like, okay, can you tell me actually how the process worked? And this is something we really do try to be transparent about. I mean, we really are trying to do things differently, and we still need to improve in that area, but Simon came to us through that grant process, and we want to lift up the whole community. I mean, our barrier was 2 million and below in terms of the organizations that we were funding, and so we are looking at organizations who don't have access to, you know, McKinsey Scott type grants typically, and there's no way you can apply for that either. But we want to make sure that anyone who comes in through our doors that we respect, that we look thoughtfully at, that we also have an opportunity to reach back out and to have conversations with the One Vibe Media, who is doing amazing work for musicians and artists in the local community. Simon and team around of applause. And to figure out how to connect them with other organizations. And I think it's just been a gift to reconnect there. And Simon, you said something when we were chatting via email about how you want to work with women-led organizations to honor your mother. And I think we're just grateful to have you here and to have you as part of this community, and hopefully honor your mom as well. But back to what Kelly was saying about just the numbers of organizations, and I'd love to hear a little bit more your reflection on the types of organizations.
I think that, again, anybody who's ever been on the grant review team knows that you get, I want to say a stack, but it's not, because it's not in paper, but it's an Excel spreadsheet that you can imagine would be a stack. And you start to click on the links to the organization pages. And if you have the time and you take the time, you can click on their newsletters, go on their journey with them, click on their YouTube channels, learn what they're doing, and you start to have this deep anxiety about, how do we make this decision? This actually hurts because it can make me cry, but you really want to do something for everyone. And so as I was going through and making notes, I talked to Melissa about this, because then going back to these discussions, I thought, what are these notes? They don't even make any sense. But I was going through and finding what I was feeling really deeply attached to and why, but also earmarking things that I want to support as an individual. And I think that was really enlightening to me. Not only how many small grassroots organizations we have in this community who are one person or a small group of people who have started something and they're really making a huge impact. And you start to look at your own self and say, my God, how could what could I come up with? I didn't even know that these deficiencies existed. And I didn't even know that one person could make such a huge difference. And so that, coupled with also learning about other small organizations in the community that I personally want to support, I will continue to keep these Excel spreadsheets and use them as reminders for those times when it's the time that I want to contribute to local organizations. So those are the couple of takeaway points for me.
Thank you. And something else I'm just going to add that you mentioned to me is one of the things about our application process is really trying to level the playing field, so not everybody has to be a strong writer or have a lot of information available, that we do the work ourselves. And you said something like, if we see them, these organizations, the people who took the time to share, literally life-saving work with us, that helps us lead with heart too. And we can see the heart that they have in their applications, and that's how we want to show up for them as well. And I think everybody who was part of that team really took that to heart. So thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Okay, so one last question, because I know we have a lot to talk about and a lot to do tonight, but any key takeaways you would like to share as we think about kind of the future of Impact 100 and what comes next?
Yeah, I think that, people don't have time, and everyone's contribution that they feel comfortable and the level of depth that they want to get involved is always a little bit different. But I think that as a newcomer coming in, I think that joining the grant review team for your first year is a really important opportunity to really learn about the organization and get a behind-the-scenes look at what we are doing here. And so my takeaway is that I think as we join, the best thing that you could do as a new member of Impact 100 is to join the grant review team. So that's kind of my takeaway.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of this team. No, stay up here, stay up here. We're gonna close just, where is the little clicker here? I have a quote that some of you heard me share the last meeting that we had, which is, instead of inheriting a broken system, we have the power to change it. I believe that's true. I believe it's more important than ever. I believe it will require crucial conversations, getting uncomfortable, sitting with that discomfort, staying with it, listening, finding like-minded people, and just continuing to do the work that everyone in this room has started. I think, Impact 100 is really about each of us using our power and privilege to make change where we can. And I just have seen so much come from the 3 years that I've been involved, and I just can't wait to see what's next. So thank you all for being here, and thank you to Anna and Anne who started us on this amazing journey, and to all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And now we are going to introduce the 3 finalist organizations. So, can I start?
Do you want to do it?
Can I start with the first one? Okay. Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Larson, part of the leadership team and grant review team with Melissa and Krista Davis, who's on our grant leadership team also, and I get the chance to introduce these organizations. So our first is Global Perinatal Services, whose mission it's a birth equity organization whose mission is to provide community-based doula services that will educate, respect, and empower Black, refugee, and immigrant women and their families during pregnancy, birth, and into early parenting.
My name is Faisa Farale. I am the Director of Global Perinatal Services, or GPS. Our organization's mission and vision is that we provide doula services and early parenting support services to Black immigrant and refugees in King County and part of Pierce County now. Our services, what makes it so unique is we make it accessible to anyone who wants those services will get it. And it's also matching folks with people who have common languages with them, who share common culture with them. So we have about 18 doulas right now who are active. My name is Faisa Farale. I am the Director of Global Perinatal Services, or GPS. Our organization's mission and vision is that we provide doula services and early parenting support services to Black immigrant and refugees in King County and part of Pierce County now. Our services, what makes it so unique is we make it accessible to anyone who wants the doula services will get it. And it's also matching folks with people who have common languages with them, who share, common culture with them. So we have about 18 doulas right now who are active, combined, I believe, to speak over 23 languages. I'm always surprised how many languages we're adding. So our latest being, Pashto and Adari, which are 2 languages that are spoken in the Afghanistani community. Whenever we see there's a need from a particular community, and we provide training free of charge, are able to employ them to their communities as well. We've had this one time a client who was expecting her 3rd baby, and she has had she didn't breastfeed her last 2 children, but we were able to sit with her again, match her with someone who speaks her language, and then share with her like evidence-based information about breastfeeding and why it's important, and not just tell her you should breastfeed, And so we had told her all this stuff, and she ended up exclusively breastfeeding her baby. She actually was showing us pumped milk that she has had. She was like, I never thought I was able to, my body was able to do something like this. The critical needs are for capacity building. Every dollar that we have, we make sure we provide, we put it in providing services to the communities. Our office staff is needing other, more admin folks to sort of, relieve some of the office work. So capacity building is where we need, where GPS needs funding. We are really grateful for this opportunity. Just being able to even, be lump summed in some of the groups that are also doing amazing work. It's really a privilege. So yeah, we're just grateful.
Hi everyone, I'm Krista Davis. I am the treasurer of Impact 100, and I've also been on the grant leadership team last 2 years. I have the honor of introducing the Goodfoot Arts Collective. The Goodfoot Arts Collective prevents youth violence through arts education and equips youth to end relationship violence before it begins. The Goodfoot combines in-school programs with hip-hop street credibility to drive a culture shift of no tolerance for abuse, preventing relationship violence before it starts.
My name is Chi May Presuth, and I am the co-founder and executive director for the Goodfoot Arts Collective.
So my name is Louis Presuth. I am one of the co-founders. I'm the creative director.
Our mission statement for the Goodfoot Arts Collective is youth violence prevention through arts education. And we want to see young people equipped to end violence before it begins, to be expressive through transformative art and different mediums, to empower young people to reach their full potential through mentorship, and to educate, to advocate in their community and their schools.
So we actually run after-school programs, and we have different avenues for them to follow. So we have photography, we also have illustration and graphic design, dance, and spoken word.
So we have been walking with this individual for a couple years now, and they go to Franklin High School. We met them through our Healthy Relationships class. They were sexually assaulted, sexually abused, and through the No Excuses campaign, they were able to put language to their feelings and be able to create art with their story. And one of the pieces that they created, and they are the co-founder, co-artist of this flip book, which talks a lot about what healthy relationships look like, what abuse looks like, what love is, what love isn't, and No Excuses. This whole campaign advocates for safety and empowers youth to build environments of no tolerance for violence and sexual misconduct and misbehavior as well.
Well, since the inception, we've always operated on just money out of our own pockets. It's just been very minimal resources that we've had to use. And so seeing this thing build from the ground up as a grassroots organization, unrestricted dollars would just alleviate a lot of burdens in regards to staffing issues, capacity building, longevity, being creative and innovative. As an arts organization, we need to be creative and innovative, and so we don't want to be tied down by reporting and mandates and things like that. However, I believe in those things, and those things are key, but at the same time, unrestricted dollars allows us to do more of what we can do long term.
We believe prevention is key. I mean, that's the whole reason why we started it. The way that we work with young people is through healing-centered engagement. It goes beyond the trauma-informed. We don't want young people to stay in their trauma, but they work through their arts and activism to give them a voice for advocacy through their artwork to express and take ownership so that they could be a voice in their community.
And our third organization is Project Be Free. Project Be Free provides crisis response to individuals affected by domestic violence. They utilize partnerships that allow support of mental health needs to increase advocacy and promote individual well-being. Their immediate response services and therapy methods work towards breaking the cycles of generational trauma.
Hi, I'm Joel Thomas. I'm the Community Outreach Manager and a co-founder of Project Be Free.
Hi, my name is Katya Wojcik. I'm the Executive Director, the other co-founder, and a survivor of domestic violence.
Katya's background is in mental health.
And Joel's background is in law enforcement. Our vision is to strategically design programs that disrupt the cycles of intergenerational domestic abuse for individuals throughout their lifespan. A most recent success was providing a tailored crisis response package to a family in need. This family of 3, a mother and 2 daughters, each received individualized wraparound services. The mother was assisted in navigating the legal system, with help obtaining a protection order for herself and her daughters, legal translation services, and court preparation. The family was connected to transitional housing, and the youngest was enrolled in our youth mentorship program. After they found permanent housing, we provided donations of household items and furniture. The experience left a lasting impression on the eldest daughter that vocalized the desire to become a domestic violence advocate and a youth mentor herself.
Unrestricted funding reduces gaps in organizational and fundamental functions. It provides continued growth and reinforces operations and administrative roles that are challenged while providing support and healing to our community members. Because of the complexity of domestic violence, our organization was designed to meet some of the unique needs created by these situations. Restricted funding allows Project Be Free to maintain programs that serve, and we are very grateful for those donations. However, unrestricted funds allow us to grow our vision by expanding our provider network, creating educational curriculums and training videos, increasing staff capacity, and covering other, sometimes unpredictable, operational costs.
Project Be Free provides domestic violence resources in a very different way. Our mental health advocates are as diverse as the community we serve in. Through our crisis response program, we respond alongside law enforcement to domestic violence calls. We bring support to the homes of our community members in need.
Project Be Free is a unique organization because We don't try to fit in one lane. We try to blanket our community with love and resources. We speak of domestic violence response and things like that. We help with job interview preparation. We give clothes because we understand the impact of life, and the domestic abuse is multifaceted. So we just try to feed and love our community in the best way we can.
Well, I think you will probably all agree with me that each one of these organizations is truly amazing. They are transforming the Puget Sound region. So now is the hard part, and that is to vote. If you are attending in person, each one of you has received a voting notice. You can take that and scan the QR code and vote then. If you are attending virtually, you received an email at 5 p.m.-ish today from Impact 100 Seattle, so you can click on that and through that to vote. You are voting for one organization, the one that is going to receive $100,000 in unrestricted funds. Now, because of your generous support and because of the number of members that we have, the other two organizations are going to walk away with $26,500, which is still an amazing grant. I will give everyone a couple of minutes to vote. And in order for your vote to count, make sure you get a screen that says thank you.
Do you want to stand there or here? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay, I'm going to take your attention back to the front of the room. I am Nirupa Shah. It's a pleasure this evening for me to introduce Maggie Angel. I am co-chair of the nonprofit committee. We have the distinct pleasure of continuing the relationship with our grantee partners once they receive the grant. Now, during this time, we get to know them really well. I have to apologize on behalf of Paulina, the ED of DRCC. She was unable to make it tonight, but she has sent a very able representative. So we give our grants to organizations that are community-based, that are community-led, and in the case of DRCC, they make community-based decisions. And you're going to wonder how they do that, and that is what Maggie is going to tell you, because Maggie is the community engagement and communications specialist. And I asked Maggie, why did you take this job? Maggie grew up in that community. She joined DRCC at the age of 14. And when she went to college, she asked herself, how does she return to the community to give back? And she had two choices. She could become a nurse, or she could join DRCC. And that's exactly what Maggie did. Above that, Maggie is a great storyteller. And this is how DRCC works. They engage with the community, they listen to stories, and they respond to the stories at a grassroots level, and they help people make decisions about their lives, about advocacy, and about changing policy. So everyone, please welcome Maggie. She's going to tell you her story.
Thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. My name is Magdalena Angel, but I go by Maggie, so everybody calls me Maggie. I work for DRCC. We currently changed our name, so it used to be, you might know it as Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition, but now we are Duwamish River Community Coalition. So quite a change, community, big word, a lot of meaning to it, so I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I do have a story to say. I don't know how to use this little button, but getting used to it. This is me. As I mentioned, my name is Magdalena, and I just wanted to include a beautiful photo of me with our Duwamish River in the background, just for you to see as well. Before I get any further, I do want to acknowledge the land we are standing on as Duwamish land and stolen Coast Salish land. So if we could just acknowledge that. I know folks come from different areas, so also just to put that in your mind, to navigate and check where you're standing and just acknowledge that as well. So I do want to put that out there before I continue. As I love to talk about myself, and I could do this all day, every day, I did want to include more photos of myself. But aside that, my story at DRCC is really long. So I did start at DRCC as a youth at the age of 14 in South Park, where my family came from as immigrants from Mexico. We stayed there until now. I am now 25 years old, so we've been there for 11 years, more than 11 years, 20-something years, but I've been at DRCC for 11. And I started off just as a kid, wandering around the streets, not knowing what to do. There was a lot of gangs being developed at that time, so being a Chicana and just walking around streets, seeing people my age doing different things and being encouraged to be part of a gang, I always knew that was not for me. I did love music, I did love art, but that was not what I wanted to do. But there was nothing else in my community. There was no opportunities until I found Paulina Lopez, which she is not here, she is our executive director. But Paulina was starting this youth program. Now that's known as the Duwamish Valley Youth Corps. But back then we didn't have a name. So we were part of this group, went out to our community just on a walk, taking pictures and seeing what we liked and didn't like. So we just did this exercise of developing new projects and advocating for new things. One of that being the Duwamish Waterway Park, which in this photo right over here, obviously with myself in it, that's the park I wanted to create a playground. I always envisioned having a nice playground where I could play next to the river, but just be aware, I did not know everything in the pollution side of what was happening in this river. So for me, this was a great opportunity to learn about my community, but also feel like I was becoming a leader and doing something productive. Soon, I did go into college. I did not know what to do. The only thing I really saw that was an opportunity was being part of CMAR, Community Health Care, which is like this organization that has clinics, dental, and social work areas and departments. But that was not for me. Obviously, I went through chemistry, failed that class, and I was like, yes, that's not me. So I eventually was really advocating for a lot of things like immigrant rights, women's rights, and a lot of things that really I felt passionate about. So I did decide to get my major in women's studies at UW, and then came back to DRCC. I relate a lot of the work I do because in DRCC, and this goes a lot with our name, community, we are community driven. This meaning that whatever the community needs, we adapt to them. We don't just do river cleanup, we don't just do placekeeping, we adapt to what community needs, and that's the beauty of our organization. Since then, I've been officially a full-time staff now for 3 years. So that's a little bit of my story of how I went from a youth to a volunteer and now eventually a staff member. And that is our vision also for our youth that are part of our programming, is to allow them to have that opportunity to have that cycle of coming back and using whatever career they decide to get to work in this community that has so many inequities within itself. All right, time to stop talking about myself now. So our official mission at DRCC is to elevate the voices of those that are being impacted or have been impacted by the Duwamish River pollution and other also environmental injustices. Going on to the next slide. So some of the key programs that we have at DRCC, one of them being the Superfund site, which is our Duwamish River, the only river in Seattle. The second being the Clean Air Program. Third, our climate justice. And fourth, placekeeping. And lastly but not least, our youth leadership program. All these programs, maybe they have changed in the past years, but as an organization, we have grown a lot, which is really, really great to have more staff and more support. I do want to start a little bit with our Superfund site. So the great thing about this and our name change is that we have more time, more staff, more dedication to what we call the Duwamish River, Lower Duwamish Waterway area, which is the contaminated site. This happened in 2001, so many of you might already know this. I just kind of wanted to put a little reminder, so for those of us that are new to it, we do have, this is also new, this is our Clean Air Program, and what we've been doing, it's been a really complicated time during COVID. A lot of our work is in person, is working with community one-on-one, talking to them about their needs, talking to them about the changes that are happening in their community. And with COVID, that was really complicated. So a lot of the things we did were outside. A lot of the things we worked with were providing these resources and this information in a safe manner. So we did have walking tours, we did have outside community meetings with information for them to take. We did have free air filters and things that folks needed in certain times, especially in the summer with wildfires. All the air already being really polluted in this community, plus having smoke around caused a lot of effects in people's health. As you may know, in the Duwamish Valley, we already have a high rate of asthma, so that was really still impacting our community. Here in this really long diagram or chart or whatever you want to call it, we do have some of the priorities and strategies that our community has come up with. So these are in English, but we do work with communities that speak different languages. The main languages that we work with are Spanish, Vietnamese, and Khmer. So those languages are what we kind of work around. A community, currently we're also finding the Somali is also being needed. So all this information is in English, but these are the needs that our community members have pointed out that they have noticed or they're hoping to change or bring into the Duwamish Valley. This is a lot of work that we do, and this is just from 1 year. So all the things I am kind of talking about today, they're just in really small shorts, summarizing and some updates that I have. The other program that is fairly also new and is climate justice, focusing more on climate change and the effects that that's causing to our community, which is flooding, which is really hard to see sometimes, especially during rainy seasons. We see our sidewalks and streets, kind of like the image right here that we see above, right next to our office, and where it really is a big like wading pool where you need boots to walk through. So it's really bad, and this is something we are advocating for with policy change. So down here you do see some policy changes with our governor, and that's the work we do and we continue to do with DRCC. The next thing, sorry, I told you I didn't know how to use this. Well, I could start talking a little bit about what's next. The next one that I had in mind is placekeeping. So placekeeping is more of affordable housing. How can we maintain those folks that have been in this community, that are being affected by gentrification, to stay in this community, to stay in these apartments, in these houses, and to take advantage of these new parks that are being planned. So with that is placekeeping. We do a lot of door knocking. As I've talked with some of you, door knocking is my thing. So you will probably see me around the community knocking at people's doors and just talking to them about all these opportunities and all these programs and just bringing so much information to them, but I also just want to hear their stories. So one of my tasks is to learn about community members, learn their story, and bring that back to other meetings. So this could be meetings such as in EPA roundtables or other government agency meetings that they need to know about or just want to hear what community has to say. And lastly, I do have more pictures, but hopefully they come up soon. They're not my pictures. They're not pictures of me. They're pictures of community. But the last one is youth leadership, and that's one of the ones that get people most excited. So youth leadership is really, really big in South Park. We do not have any schools but Concord International Elementary School, which is obviously a concern for us, just having elementary and then having our students traveling 15, 20 minutes via a metro bus to school because we do not get school buses provided. So we find ways for our kids to come back to the community and have opportunities to engage in something, and that being Duwamish Valley Youth Corps. They focus a lot in environmental issues. They focus on planting, restoration, but now also leadership. So we have been working with more youth around the ages of 18 to 24, working for them to become leaders, and just, taking the wheel because we are moving on. So hopefully, our youth are growing and our leadership program is growing as well. And it looks like we're about to make it work. It looks, there we go. I swear that's the last picture, hopefully, of me. But this is just more examples of, aside from our youth leadership programs, a lot of our engagement looks like this, as you can see in the photos. It could look as much as a community cleanup with our youth, just making sure every exercise they do, they know what it means. So it's not just a task of picking up garbage, but what does that mean? What does that mean to them? Why is this important? So we try to build the story and we try to build the connections. So picking up garbage is important because the only combined sewer system is in the Duwamish. So all this garbage ends up in the Duwamish. So we try to build those little dots. Here in the screen, you could also see some images of the different types of community engagement we had throughout the year with COVID. So as I mentioned before, we had classes outside, we had these walking tours, we just had so many things outside, walking down the streets with our kids, which seems a little dangerous, but I promise it was not. So just a lot of activities that we could not have done without our staff and without the support and the capacity building from them till this moment. It might just be me breaking this, but okay, there we go. We did have a lot of more tabling and a lot of more activities that not only were about youth, but also about community capacity. So we did start doing job fairs, and all these things, as I mentioned in the beginning, are community driven. So during COVID, we did have a period where we were not doing environmental work. We were doing more of resources, more of social work, more of casework with individuals, and just bringing those resources. So we did food drives, we did COVID vaccination events, we did rental assistance actually, as well as we fundraised more money. We did rental assistance, and we did a program called Duwamish Dollars, which was a great way to get community to work outside and earn some currency from just being outdoors. I think, there we go. But before I end, I do want to say thank you, Impact 100. We could not have done any of the work we did without your support and without the support you have given us throughout this whole year and continue giving us. It has meant a lot for us staff, and for our kids and for our youth to have that money and to have that support financially, but also I'm going to call it like canceling, because it's a lot of work that we do. I think a lot of times you seem that nonprofit work is draining, and it could be a lot mentally for a lot of folks. So we are really thankful for the support and for this given to us. And this is a picture of our team, just celebrating that we changed our name more accurately. I do also lastly want to encourage you all to continue supporting us, to volunteer with us, to join our events. We do have a festival coming up August 6th, which is outdoors. Festival is with food, music, and a lot of people from community next to the river. So hopefully you guys could join that and visit our new website, which is also really pretty, has been updated. That is all for me. If you have any questions, please let me know. These are some of the updates from what we've done at DRCC in this past year, especially during COVID.
Thank you so much, Maggie. We are continuously inspired by the work that you guys do, and are so thankful to have you in our community. All right, so a couple of announcements. There are some people in this room whose votes have not yet gone through. So I'd like to encourage each one of you to make sure that you receive that thank you screen. There were actually 2 questions that you should have answered. And then press submit. If you had not done that, if you did not receive a confirmation, we will keep the voting open for like 5 more minutes, just to make sure that everyone in this room, their votes have counted. While that is going on, I want to give a very quick business update. And we are running late, so I'm going to really speed through this. I promise. And this is not working anymore, that's okay. Here we go. So one of the things that we did over the past year is our board worked long and hard to update our vision and mission. You have pamphlets that were given to every single person that checked in with our new vision, mission, and beliefs. We worked really hard to update those to truly reflect what we as a community are trying to accomplish. The vision, you already heard this, we envision a world where nonprofits spend time transforming communities, not fundraising. Is a lot more externally focused because this is really where our impact should lie. And our mission focuses on the power of diverse women in this room and amplifying and lifting that local community that we're trying to support. I will not read all of the beliefs, but do encourage you to take a look at them and go through them and read them, because this really is what makes this organization who we are today. In addition, I also want to thank the board. These women do give a lot of their time and effort. And this year, one of the things that we've tried to do is truly center around our community. So some of you may or may not know this, but we've actually added a community board seat. And Virginia, who you might recognize as the executive director of Para Los Niños, one of our past grantee partners, is here with us tonight and has joined our board, and we are just so, oh, there she is. Sorry, bad timing. We are so thankful to have her perspective as we try to center our organization around our community. So thank you, Virginia. We have also updated our strategic priorities to focus, really focus on 3 things. One is to ensure that we have an organization that is sustainable. 2, that we have a consistent base of over 100 diverse women. And 3, to develop programs to deepen our support of the Puget Sound nonprofit community. One of the biggest things that we're doing to truly fortify our systems and processes, and honestly to make a lot of the work behind the scenes easier, is to implement a new CRM system. What does that mean to you as members? You will have your own personal login to a member portal where you will be able to check when it is time to renew. And even better, you will get notices that it's time to pay. Woohoo! Notice how Krista, our treasurer, is clapping right now. But there's more benefits. We will have a member directory to help you connect with each other. That member directory will only be for members, and you will be able to control what information goes up on it and what does not. There's also going to be a place for committees and groups to chat and connect. And we will have a calendar of events and an easy way for you to access those events, whether they're virtual or in person, via that member portal. I want to talk a little bit about a second priority, and that is maintaining a diverse group of women of over 100 women. This year, we have 157 members, which is I wrote this down, 25% growth versus last year. Now, we don't measure, thank you. We don't measure our success by the number of women that we have, because it's not about numbers, it's about what we all bring to the table. But I do want to note that we have taken many steps to try to reach out to people in the community that might not otherwise have heard of Impact 100. We have really grown the Impactship program in order to invite those that can't necessarily afford a $1,000 membership fee to join our organization. Anybody who is passionate about our vision and mission can apply for an Impactship. None of the Impactship names are announced, such that every single Impactship member is a full member of this organization. And that's really important to us, because bringing diverse perspectives to our table is the only way that we will advance as an organization. I also, well, a couple of small statistics. If you ever feel like you're either the youngest or the oldest in the room, keep in mind that we have people whose birth dates range from 1930s to 1990s. And there's women spending 40 zip codes in our membership, which is pretty cool. I want to extend a special thanks to Maya. She is our membership chair, has been since the beginning. Now, she, many of you may know, is moving to Miami. And so, please let us know if you would like to continue in the amazing work that she has done. In addition to new members, we also want to make sure that we continue to build our community. And gosh, this year we've had book clubs and happy hours. We've had education events, which were really amazing. Events with our nonprofit partners. We had a great holiday party. And then Wellness Week, where we really got to connect with each other. And so we will continue to foster community through all of these in-person and virtual events. And here are some upcoming ones. I'm going to leave this on for a couple of minutes so you can take a snapshot, although all of this is going to be in an upcoming email. We have a great book club coming up. We have some summer happy hours. And then we also have the fall membership kickoff, which is going to happen in the 3rd week of September. Now, what's really important to trust-based philanthropy is helping beyond the check. And we have an amazing nonprofit partner team. I want to recognize 3 people in particular. We have Nirupa, who you've heard from before, Katrina, who is listening to us virtually, and Veronica. Veronica, raise your hand. Who have really taken the time to understand what our partners are looking for and better connect with them. They have created amazing events where our partners are able to tell us what they're doing and what they need, and they have great plans. And here they are. Starting in the summer, fall, we will start a series called Operations Cafe. This is an opportunity to use the expertise in our network to share that expertise with our nonprofit partners. These are going to be online events and open to any grant applicant that has ever applied for a grant. And Veronica is leading that effort, so thank you, Veronica. We will also pilot a buddy system, and I think that there's already some people in this room that have volunteered to be a buddy to our 2022 grantee partners. Really, the point here is to have a single point of contact, somebody that our grantee partners can reach out to and let them know what it is that they need, because we want to make sure that we keep providing support beyond the check. Also in the works are a resource page for nonprofit organizations, and then a directory of all of the grant applicants, because we do see value in bringing small local nonprofits together and letting them explore each other, which is really great. So as I mentioned before, none of this could be possible without a great leadership team. And we have a lot of leadership transitions. If some of you read my, I think, annual meeting or annual report letter, you know that Anne, my dear partner in crime, where is she? Anne? Oh, there she is. Anne is the co-founder of Impact 100 Seattle, and she's here all the way from Colorado Springs, where she moved. So unfortunately, with her and Maya and others who have served on the leadership team for quite some time and are ready to move on to other things, we do need more leaders. If you are interested in helping us out, please, please, please consider doing so. I want to take 2 minutes to give you one more survey, and hopefully this will work. I think it's also actually also in your programs. Please scan this QR code and take 2 minutes to do the survey. The reward is going to be Melissa telling you about our grant allocation.
one more minute. People took this really seriously, which is great. All right, are you guys just checking email, or is everyone done with the survey? Okay, shall we? I know people are anxious to leave, but we have two exciting things. Let's see. Okay, so on the mic. So this is all about one woman, one vote, and thank goodness people were voting because it is extremely close. One of the other things that we talked about in trust-based philanthropy is not setting up winners and losers, and so I'm just so pleased that we're able to offer grants of $28,500 to the two runners-up because they are all fantastic organizations. But this year, the organization who will receive the $100,000 grant is Global Perinatal Services. Yay! So, we're going to be sharing this news tomorrow with each of the three organizations, and hopefully they feel supported by Impact 100 no matter whether they receive the full amount or not. So don't say anything just yet, but we will be sharing this by hopefully noon. All the organizations will know. So thank you all for participating. Please grab a glass, even if it's empty by now. I just want to make a toast, and then you can't leave because we have a special song that we're going to hear in a second. But let's toast to the amazing work being done by community-based organizations in the Seattle area and to all of us for lifting them up. Thank you. Cheers. All right, and if you haven't met the Niatiti, did I say it right? Okay, this is a traditional Kenyan instrument, and we're going to be hearing a song called Owenge Ringo, which means no giving up, and I heard that there may be some singing involved, so get ready. Over to you. Thank you.
you never give up on this this fight, you know. So that's why this song is dedicated to you all. I'm going to teach you how to sing in my mother tongue. Onge Riko means no giving up, no running away. Okay?
thank you all for tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting this organization. Thank you for making it what it is. It was a wonderful evening, and I can't wait for many, many more. Have a great night.